Hi everyone, Grant K for the Smoke Learning channel. In this video, we'll look at the new icon interactivity when working with TimelineFX at the sequence level in Smoke. This is a result of the new live preview viewer that is implemented across the application. You can also see the live preview working in action in a later video. If you would like to follow along, please use your own media as this video is not footage specific. So here we have an edit in a sequence, and we would like to do some work on some of the segments. Now, depending on the complexity of the work, you could do everything in a node tree, or alternatively, you could use the TimelineFX for most of the work. We'll stick with the latter option and see what is now possible in Smoke 2017. So select the segment in the sequence and press Ctrl Tab for the FX ribbon. Let's start off by choosing something simple like a blur. So normally with TimelineFX, you get the mini toolbar with a selection of high-level controls. Adjusting the slider gives us a Gaussian blurring effect. This is a straightforward general blur. Now change the blur type from Gaussian to radial. When you increase the slider, you get a radial blur emanating from the center of the frame. Now previously, if you wanted to offset the center point of an object, like this blur for instance, you would need to step into the editor to be able to adjust it on screen. In Smoke 2017, you should be able to see the on-screen widget in the viewer at the timeline level. So you can grab the widget and adjust it pretty easily without digging down into the effects menus. This can be a big time saver if you're working very quickly. Even at the timeline level, the interactivity is still very fast. Now this is a simple effect with one adjustable widget. Let's remove the blur and try a more complicated TimelineFX. Call up the effects ribbon again and choose 2D transform. As before, you grab the widget and move the image around the viewer. There is also a rotate handle, so you can rotate the image on the Z-axis fairly quickly. For the other rotate axis and scaling, there are no widgets, so you would use the mini toolbar. And remember, if you can see the tracks underneath the current one, enable Comp to composite the layers. So how would this work with rotoscoping? Well, pretty much the same. We can remove the 2D transform TimelineFX and add a G-mask to the segment. To start drawing, you click the Add button. Directly in the player, you can start drawing your shape. This was not possible in the previous version of Smoke. When you are done, close the shape. At any point with the TimelineFX selected, its wireframe icons will be visible on screen, and you can adjust the vertices, objects, or widgets. If you don't want to see the icons, you click the Player Options pull-down menu and choose to hide the icons. To turn the icons back on again, you choose the same option to show the icons. Now when you are working with a particular TimelineFX with a specific set of tools, the Tools pull-down menu will update with the tools you need for that particular TimelineFX. So in the case of the masking tools, you can choose to add points, delete points, break tangents, etc. If you were using an Action TimelineFX, the tools displayed would be completely different. However, in all cases, there is a slight limitation with keyboard shortcuts. Because the keyboard shortcuts dynamically update between editorial and VFX, the editorial shortcuts are currently active in the timeline view. Therefore, these effects tools cannot currently be mapped to any keyboard shortcuts. So to use these tools, you need to select them from the pull-down menu. But as soon as you enter into any VFX editor, the effects tools keyboard shortcuts will be available again. The last point I want to mention about the on-screen icons concerns the timeline contextual views. In previous releases, when you worked in a TimelineFX editor and looked at a context, you would lose the on-screen icons and widgets. But in Smoke 2017, if you switch to a timeline primary context view, the widgets and icons are fully visible. This is exactly the same as you would expect if you were working in ConnectFX. So regardless whether you're working in the timeline or with node compositing, you get the same gestural interactive experience in all the players. Be sure to check out the other videos covering the features, workflows and update to Smoke 2017. Comments, feedback and suggestions are always welcome and appreciated. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe to the Smoke Learning channel for future videos.